What up, Sage?
Yo, what's up, man?
Yo, flip your phone, brother. I got you like this.
Oh,
The city of New York, Boricua from the Bronx.
What's going on, bro?
oh man, long time no talk.
Yeah, man. Just finished eating lunch, bro. I was about to message you. I was like, did this guy forget? And for some reason, my phone didn't alert me either. So I have it, 30 minutes before, but
hmm
I didn't see anything. Like I didn't see any pop-ups or nothing. It's weird. I'm still ironing this shit out. Like all the trying to basically automate as much as I can because you saw all you had to do was click a time,
Yeah,
boom, everything, like I'm
yeah,
trying to automate as much as I can, just to make it easy for everybody, man.
yeah. The only thing about those apps is like, do you feel like the the a problem with people who might want to book you for something that you don't even want to work with that person, or you don't even have want to have a meeting with that person? Like it
I
kind of.
don't so I don't have it listed on my website or publicly available.
Oh, that's why. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. So only people that I want to talk to, I send the link to.
got it, got it.
Yeah, and I've been using this other method like where you create a one-time use link. I wanted to put it on my website, you know I
Yeah,
wanted to do that, but it's exactly what you said. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start getting the same kind of shit that I get emails for, people pushing their garbage and stuff. So
yeah,
I'm like, nah, you know what, I'll
um,
send the link to the people I want to talk to.
yeah, yeah.
you know there's no shortage of interesting people that I know, so I'm not like too worried about needing them to come to me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah. So I have on Artist Connect, and this is the reason why I said that on Artist Connect. I have you can't really contact. I mean, you can't really schedule. You can't really force someone to. You can't book someone and use up their schedule unless they authorize first that they want to work with you.
so that I'm just gonna grab my dog because she's tripping over here. That is actually one of the most demanded features on this platform. Come here, girl. Come here. She's going nuts, man.
How is your dog? You've had your dog
she
for
is
how long?
she's been with us almost 3 years, but she is jumping on the bed. I'm trying to grab her. She's jumping around. It's fucking crazy, man. All right, hold up. I just grabbed her. She's like a little bunny rabbit, man. She's bugging, man. Yeah, so that's one of the most like high demanded features on that app that I use. They want to
Yeah,
make it so that somebody requests the appointment and you have the option to say no or say yes. Because right now it automatically does it.
yeah. That's what sense. Like I remember when I was making my app, my programmers or some of the people were like, you know, don't you want to put a calendar option? I was like, I definitely thought about it, but I was like, imagine I'm working in the studio. You just think about yourself. There's people I don't want to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
I want to screen everyone first before I just wake up and say, oh yeah, I got to record so and so on whatever date. I don't even know who it is. It turns out to be some kind of wacko. You know what I mean? Somebody I don't even want to work with. So even though it's a convenience, I think it's an unnecessary convenience that ends up
Hmm.
making the
So
experience.
so how'd you set it up right now? Like
So right
By the
now,
way, by the way, this is Angel R Talk on NYCTalking.com, and this is Gibran Malik, and these are some people that I just know and I haven't talked to in a minute, and we just jump right into the conversation. It's just one of those we just jump right into it.
very
It's like there's no need to be like no formalities. Just jump right into the conversation. We just already started flowing. We didn't even set it up. There was no need to. We just flow. So you said you have that option, but you have them to approve it.
yeah. So this is how it works. So let's say you want to set up a profile with services, right? And let's say you're a host and you host parties and you're good at it. So you say, okay, I'll host your party for $500. So you list that as a service on your profile, and it becomes like a service box that they can tap on. And then now people can request you. They can see your work on your social media links on your profile. They can go into your Instagram and see like, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. Or they like your stuff, you know, they like your comedy, they see what you do. Then they request you. When they request you, you see it as an incoming gig in your incoming gig list. And then you can see who that person is. You can look at their profile, look at their information, and see if you even want to work with this person, you know? And then you can choose to accept it or ignore it, the request.
Hmm.
If you ignore it, nothing really happens. It's just like, okay, you know, you could be busy, you know, you're not available, whatever the case.
Also, they're not seeing your calendar. They're requesting you prior to any visibility as to your availability.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, yeah.
So if you decide to work with this person, then you know, accept the request, talk about the details of the job. And what I did was, you know how people are always like, you know, when they hear the word contract and paperwork, they just get turned off. And we all do. Like, we're just like, I gotta do a contract with this guy. You know, that's a whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, we have to have an agreement. So what I did was I turned the chat space into the agreement. So basically, as you're talking about the details of the job with this guy, like, hey, I want to book you for a party on October 31st, you know, Halloween or whatever. And you say, okay, that sounds great. I am available. How many hours do you need me for? Da da da. All these different details. Da da da. And then you say, hey, listen, I have a 1 week cancellation policy. If you cancel a week before the date or later, I keep the deposit. And the person agrees to it and says yes in the chat, that's fine, then they're bound by that. You understand?
Right.
So
Right.
we as a company ensure your deposit by looking at the chat and what they agreed to. So now if they try to cancel a week afterwards, that deposit that they paid through the app, by the way, they pay your deposit through the app. So the deposit's in that job, and then we hold it in escrow. So if they decide to cancel after that cancellation date, they can't get their deposit back. You know what I mean? It would go to you because they agreed that they would, you know. So
And this is all understood beforehand by both participants, right? That the chat is contractually binding and everything.
that except for every chat, it says like, hey, say it in the chat, protect yourself and the client. Artist Connect will use this chat in the event of a dispute to help rectify disagreements or whatever. So you know, it protects you. And then once you lock in the date, you know, you use your own calendar. Because I mean I like the iPhone calendar. I mean, of course we could make something which is like a calendar that's easier to, you know, a separate calendar or work calendar, but I'm not sure how necessary that is yet. I think the other aspects of making the gig solid are more important, like as far as like contractually obligating people while you're conversating with them in the chat space without having to do an extra agreement. Now, there are jobs that you need an extra agreement, but for most things when it comes to gigs, it's really just cancellation dates, it's details of the job, whether or not you actually perform the service or not, things like that, you know? So that's most of the situation. So that's what Artist Connect takes care of. And then even you as a buyer, let's say you want to hire, I don't know, a graphic designer through Artist Connect, right? And you found this really dope graphic designer in like Iowa. Obviously, you're not going to go to Iowa and meet this person, but you see their catalog, you see what they do, and the cost of living is really cheap out there, so they charge really a lot less for really great work. So you hit them up, and they ask for a deposit too. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, I don't even know this guy. You know what I mean? But again, your deposit is protected. So if they never deliver the service and they never get, you know, they never do anything, you just cancel with the dispute. We look into it. If they never respond or they never created the content for you, then you get your deposit back. So everything both ways is you have like an insurance with Artist Connect that you don't get with other apps, you know? I understand PayPal has their thing, but I went through their situation once with somebody, and PayPal system it's like a robot. It's completely automated. You can't.
Yeah, they're too big right now. They're not. There's no personal touch there.
Yeah, you can't follow up with them and say, hey, you know, this person said this. It's like a one time. You submit whatever you think is evidence, and if they don't rule in your favor, that's it. You know, there's nothing you can do.
What prompted you to do this? You know, you were initially like, well, you've done rap. You know, anybody who's seen our prior conversations know you rap, and you also do engineering. You know,
Mhm.
audio engineering, and you know, you've dabbled in photography. You've messed around with a whole bunch of stuff. What you know, like what's happening one day? You're sitting at home, and you just kind of just say, I want to do an app. You know, like what brings that?
So I think, well, I remember the day it happened. I was actually on the plane, and I think I was flying for South by Southwest. I think it was definitely in 2016. I was flying over Texas, and while I was in the plane, it just hit me. The idea just came to me, and I was like, "Wow!" I always, you know how like you know in your mind you have like all these different bits and pieces to an idea, but you don't really think of it as a whole idea. You know, so I knew in the studio all those times that people used to be like, "Hey, Sage, you know anybody who's a singer? You know anybody who's a
Mm,
good photographer? You know anybody who does videos?" I used to know people, but I didn't know how reliable they were. I didn't know how much they charged. I couldn't broker the situation between, you know, every client and every other, you know, person, and and I didn't want to put my name out there for people who were talented, but they weren't reliable. You know,
right.
it's a tricky thing. You might see somebody and say, "Hey, this guy's amazing," or "This girl's amazing in their talent," and then they're just terrible when it comes to reliability. So then you recommend them, and the person's like, "Hey, this guy canceled on me. They did this, they did that," and you're like, "Damn, man, I put my name out there for that guy."
Mm,
You know?
makes you look bad, you know.
Yeah.
You
So
you want to be. That's like recommending someone for a professional job. You're not gonna vouch for them if you know they're not legit because it hurts you. You know.
exactly. So I was in the plane, and all of a sudden, the way the app looks now is the way that it came to me in my vision, and I wanted to draw it right away. And I told the flight attendant, I said, "Hey, do you have anything like a pen and a paper?" She was like, "I have a pen. I don't have it. We don't have any paper." And then so I took the pen and I took like the barf bags, you know, those
Yeah,
barf bags,
yeah.
papery, you can actually write on it. And I took a bunch of barf bags and I just drew the whole app the way it works. It came to me like Neo from the Matrix when he like wakes up and he's like, "I know kung fu." Like it was like that. So I just drew the whole thing, and that was it. And then I was like, "This is the app." Then I was like, "I need to find a programmer to just make all this happen, you know, that knows code." And I went on the hunt for a young, uh, smart programmer that wasn't part of a big company that I would have to pay $100,000 just to start or something. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
and we built it. I just instructed him, and I was able to pay him like, you know, incrementally over the course of years to develop this app because I just didn't have the money for you know, a 6-month turnaround. So it took me from 2016 to 2019 to get just the iPhone version. And then in 2019, at the end of 2019, I found someone who helped me with the Android version, and we just released the Android version back in July. I think it was officially. It was the official release was in July. So it's only been a couple of months that we really started promoting it. We have 1,200 users. We have a lot. There's a lot going on that behind the scenes where, you know, we're hoping that certain things go through and Artist Connect will be like a household name, you know?
Nice. Yeah, I've seen you put billboards up, some pretty big billboards and stuff. Obviously getting out there and talking to people, even nobodies like me, you know. It gets it visible and stuff, especially if you got a good product, you know. And I know you've spoken about this for a while. So, I know you've been grinding on this, and you're
Yeah.
still doing like engineering stuff and
I'm still
or,
doing
or is
engine
it
I'm still doing engineering, but I might be retiring from that soon, to focus more on Artist Connect because
it's taking a lot of your time to. Well, you're a
things are
CEO now, right? You know,
huh?
you're a CEO of a company, right? That's what it
That,
kind of,
that I never even thought about it like that, but yeah, I am. That's crazy.
yeah, that's what it is, dude. Think about it, man. I mean, 1,200 users, a couple months. say it becomes, hundreds and hundreds, thousands, you know, now you're not, now you got this amazing product, this tech, dude. People retire doing things like this, man.
I
So hey,
and you know how much I love, like, the spiritual, the write, like the books that I write. I mean, the book that I wrote, but I want to write so much more, and I do write still. But I know me, I can't do three things at once. I can do two things at once. I can't do three. So, shout
yo,
out
hold
to
up.
everybody who can do more than two things at once. I can't do it. At least
Yo,
not like,
when you put these up, right? That says my student said this to me and I responded with this.
yeah.
Are these real things that happened, or
No.
'cause I
So this
never give me the
this
context of that?
so this is what happened. I was getting like these stories in my head. I guess it's from the years of rapping too. Like, it's just like a rapper's brain never just turns off. Once you activate that muscle.
Yeah.
But what would happen is, like, these philosophical questions would come to my mind, and the answers would come to my mind as well, and it would just come to me as a story where there was a teacher, there was a student, there was a situation, there were characters, and it would explain this entire philosophical question and give it an answer that would make sense to the reader. Like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. That could be why that these things happen. Why good things happen to bad people, and all these tough questions in life. And I started putting these stories together, and I realized, like, every couple of days, one of these stories would come to me, and I couldn't force it. And I didn't have enough in the beginning to, put a book out or anything like that. But as time went on, there was enough stories for me to, like, put together an actual book. So
Mm.
I was, why don't I just make this into a book? And then for a time, I wanted to connect all the stories into one story. But what I decided to do was, and I thought this was really nice, is make it like a teacher's diary
Mm.
of different events that the teacher came across. Think of it like, if, like, how they say the gospel according to Mark, the gospel according to John, the gospel according to Luke. Think of this like the gospel according to Jesus, like as if he was the one writing the stories. Like, I'm the teacher, and these are the
Right.
events that occurred in my life. So this is a series of different events into mini chapters, really small chapters, that is basically, like I said, a teacher's diary and a collection of all these different philosophical questions that were posed to him and the answers that were given. And I think it's really entertaining, and I think that everyone would find something in that book that would really give them some kind of, if not like meaning in life, definitely help in the clarity in this complicated world that we live in. Help find some clarity.
Mm. Cradle of Prophecies, right?
The Cradle of Prophecy, Volume 1. It's on Amazon. It's only $13. I promise you, it's a great read. No matter what, you're gonna get something from it. It's not that long. It's only 150, around 150 pages. So it's kind of like how The Alchemist is. I was kind of looking at, because I love the way The Alchemist, as far as like from beginning to end, how it goes through. It doesn't feel too long. It doesn't feel too short, and that's kind of exactly like how my book is. So, yeah,
That's one of my favorite authors, Paulo Coelho. He's
yeah,
got I have all his books here, the majority of them. I
yeah,
might be missing a couple, but I'm a big fan of. It's one of the few physical books that I have that I've kept are the Paulo Coelho books. Like he's,
yeah,
one of the few people that I'd love to meet. Like a famous person.
yeah,
There's not too many famous people that I would actually like to like have a conversation with.
yeah,
Um, I don't I try not to get starstruck and shit like that, like with these,
yeah,
but he's one of the ones that I'd love to just talk to, man. Like the guy is, is just a fascinating storyteller. So if you
yeah,
modeled it after him or he kind of inspired it, it's definitely a good place to get going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say he inspired. I'm not sure if he inspired it.
You just
Maybe,
mean the style of the length and stuff you meant, right?
yeah, because I didn't know how long the book should be, but I remembered that I liked the length of The Alchemist. Like, I liked the way it played out, so I just I just felt comfortable releasing the book, knowing that I had enough content that it would be the same length as The Alchemist, because I thought that that was a perfect read, you know. But yeah, he's definitely somebody I would love to talk to too, because like you said, a fascinating storyteller. And I would love to know how much of his process is similar to mine, if there is, and if that's just the way that, you know, stories come to, you know, authors like ourselves. But yeah, man. So the book, the app, audio engineering, I love. I think I'm probably gonna go into maybe teaching, because I've been audio engineering for like 20 years, more than 20 years now, but professionally for 17 years. And I have so much knowledge. I just want, now it's like at the point, like I want to give it back, you know, but I want to do it in a way where it's done, you know, in a very nice way. So I think that
There's
if I
so
retire,
much. There's so much to unpack in that, you
yeah,
know, like even just editing this here, you know, like um it takes me so much time when I have to edit a podcast.
yeah,
Um, Even if it's 30 minutes, an hour, it's very time consuming. And I certainly, I don't do, I guess, what you'd consider professional grade, right? Because I don't have the skill set, you know. I improve it as best I can, but I just don't have the skill set. But simply hearing you say that, and I'm thinking, okay, this is what I'd like to learn. This is what I'd like to learn. There's like I wouldn't even know how to begin that type of a class. Like what would your like what would be lesson one? You know what I mean? Like how
so,
do you even think of like how do you break it down? Because it's I mean I don't know, but even from just my little editing, there's so much the audio, the you know getting the audio right. Like if I were to give you an episode of my podcast and have you edit it and you hear me edit it, you would hear a difference in everything. So how do you
yeah,
even begin to teach, you know?
yeah. So here's the thing. When I went to audio engineering school, the first thing they taught us before they taught us any techniques was music theory, right? What is sound? What is sound? What is, you know, what is the frequency range? What is, like, when you're hearing something, what you know, what are you hearing? What's actually happening? And I thought that was great. You know, that makes a lot of sense. So I would incorporate just that, so that you know, because it's all about when you approach a piece of audio, right? Every piece of audio is different. You know what I mean? Just like how every person is different. So
Mm,
you have to know what your strategy is going to be to approach this piece of audio prior to you thinking about any techniques whatsoever. You hear a song that's really heavy, like bass heavy. You already know that you're going to have to worry about, you know, how the vocals and the bass are going to contend with each other. You know what I mean? So you have to be ready to tackle that, and how to understand. Like, people always ask me, like, you know, what plugins do you use? I have a set of plugins, but I never use them. I never use them as they are. I never use them as they are. I'll take a plugin just as a base, kind of like how, like, a painter would take something as a base, but they never just use the base. You know what I mean? They mix it with another color. They do certain things. You mess around with it. So I'm manipulating all the time. So like every time I work on a song, it's always like a custom approach. There's not a one, you know, there's not that, you know, that meme, that picture where it shows the leak, and the guy takes the black tape and he just smacks it on, and he's like
yeah,
fixes it right away. Like, you can't
yeah.
really do that in engineering. At least it won't be perfect. You know what I mean? It won't be right. So what I would teach my students right away is I would spend the first couple of classes just straight up teaching them like Mr. Miyagi. Like, I would first teach you, you think you're not learning karate, but you are. I'm teaching you how to approach sound, and what you would do, what you would need to do for every track. And then once you know that, then I'll teach you the techniques. Like, here, this is EQing, this is compression, this is, hard limiting, this is all these different techniques, you know what I mean? And why you can use them and what you can use them for. And
Mm,
I want to see if you guys know when to use the right things at the right times. Like in this situation, you can't just slap on a bunch of plugins. I want to see if you realize that you can't use this plugin for this, or you have to go more in this direction for this. Once you get that kind of stuff down packed, then you're on your way to become an amazing engineer, you know? So so it's a lot about really just how sound works, how human beings hear sound, and how you need to approach every piece of audio differently. That's how I would go about it. You know, the first test would be, what would you do in this situation? What would you need to fix for this song? What would you need to fix for this song? What would you need to fix for this song? That's the first test. You don't have to know exactly how to do it, but I want to know whether or not you know what you need to do.
Right.
And
Right.
if you can answer those questions correctly, then I can give you the tools. Now we can talk about the tools that you need to do for every situation. But I first want to know, do you know what to do? Because otherwise, if you don't know what to do, you're going to have a client in the future, or clients, and you're going to be spending double the amount of time trying to figure out what you need to do and why you need to do it, and you're not going to have consistency in your sound, and the clients are going to know, and they're going to realize it, and you're not going to be looked at as a top engineer, you know?
Mm. Yeah, and that's even before you ever get to the creative aspects of it, because we've worked together musically a lot, and you know, you make me sound like I'm actually good, but you also do these things that you create. You create these things, so you hear something and you just come up with these ideas and stuff. So that my dog is bugging, man. I don't know if you can see what she's doing.
Yeah,
She climbs on.
you had her like in a state of zen for like 15 minutes when she was at least it seemed that
she,
way.
yeah, she's just like, oh, like she climbs on top of me. She falls asleep this way with my arm like this. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's clearly the creative side that you can't teach, that has to come. Like there's ideas that you have. You say, oh, what's gonna sound good here, and that'll come with experience and everything. But just before you ever even could possibly get to that, you've got to get those core basics down.
yeah,
Um, and from my little experience of editing podcasts, and you know and in fact, I've even tried it with music, but I remember watching you, and simply by sitting there watching you editing, I I was able to get enough to do some basic editing, just in terms of, okay, I see what he's doing. He's layering this, how you're matching up the waves to each other, you
yep.
know, little things like that. And I use that even to edit Zumba music. So like when I'm gonna teach Zumba, some songs I think they're too long. They'll have 8 repetitions of the same part. I want it to be 4. I don't know what the parts are called, but I know that there's 8 of them, because it's like so I'm like, you know what, that's too much. I cut it down to 4, and then I shorten the song by even like a minute or whatever. Sometimes there's a piece that I like more than another. I move it around. I engineer these songs. Um, and if you listen to it, maybe you could pick it out. You'd be able to say, nah, this is where he changed that shit. But it sounds almost perfect. Like I put
Yeah,
it, like the layers are put, and I just picked that up just sitting there watching you. I'm like, okay, that's what he's doing. I'm gonna try that. And it's been helpful to me. So I imagine that a full scale class would be really useful, because I
yeah,
mean, there's just so much I know I don't know. You know,
yeah,
even what you
yeah,
said about like knowing what you're looking for,
yeah,
that part itself, knowing what you're trying to do, finding out, even to figure out how to fix it if you don't truly know what you have to do. Because I'll sometimes, if I don't use this headset and I use my mic, I'll get a lot of echo.
hmm,
um and to get the echo, I'll try searching for removing echo. But there's different types of echo, there's different types of reverb or whatever. So simply, there's no cookie cutter thing. And it's
hmm,
very difficult to I try to use some of the built-in tools. Look at
yeah,
her ass, it's in my face now. I try to use the built-in tools and stuff. But no, it's very challenging. There's a lot to learn for that.
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
definitely be interested in something like that, man, because I think it would be very, very helpful.
yeah. And then also part of teaching this, to be a great engineer is to love the work, to be able to understand how to love the work your clients are recording, are doing. You know, like you want to be able to enjoy it with your client, because if you truly, that's the greatest, I'm telling you, when you're an artist and you see that the engineer is engaged in your music and is hearing things in your work, and knowing when to do drops and, you know, and the right suggestions, even if they're not always perfect, but just to know that he's in the right direction and he kind of understands what you're doing, that is priceless. That's somebody, that'll become a long-term client. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
engineers that want to make they want to make a living out of their talent, they have to understand how to do that. They have to understand, like, what is it that you like? I want to help bring your vision to life, and if I understand your vision, then and I can express that and show you that, and you can see that I understand your vision, then that's an amazing connection, and that becomes a long-term relationship. And financially, obviously, you know, when you have long-term clients, you have a great situation going, you know. And also just, you're loving your job. You know, the best jobs are the ones that you love. So you have to really love engineering. You have to love what you want to do, because I can teach you the tools, I can teach you the methods, but I can't give you that to want to do it, you know. So make sure that, you know, as well, this is actually the teacher's responsibility to see in the student whether or not they have that passion. So if they don't have that passion, this is what happened in Arty when I went to school back in 2002 for engineering. We dropped, well, not we, but the teacher dropped, I think we might have had like maybe 14 students when we started. And we knew, all of us knew, the ones that stayed knew, like, the 5 or 6 dudes that just, like, you guys are not gonna make it. Like, you're not into this, you know? Like, you thought you were, maybe you wanted to sign up, you thought engineering was cool, but within the first 2-3 classes, the teacher noticed that you're not passionate enough to follow this through. So they got dropped, you know? And I think the remaining class that completed was maybe, I think, 8 or 9 students, including myself. So you have to also see that, you know, a lot of people think they want to engineer, and then once they see what it is, they're not interested in being passionate about what the artist does. They don't have that much of an interest, you know. So you have to know, do you want to just know a couple of techniques, or do you want to actually do this for a living? Let me know what you want to do, you know. This way I can understand how to tell you what to, you know, how to approach the situation.
Yeah, I imagine that's tough, because I mean, we're all subjective, right? We're subjective in what we like and what we don't like. So
Yeah.
if I were an audio engineer, I'm probably not gonna like every song, and I'm not gonna like every artist and every style. So I can imagine it must be, if you're not able to do that, it will be very difficult to spend 3 hours with somebody working on a song that you fucking hate. You know, like you hate this fucking song. You hate the guy's voice. You hate the content. You know, that's tough. You know, like I always wondered about that with you. Like I know you work with a lot of artists, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure some of them were like you're like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then there's some where you're like, you know, like what is this guy? You know, dude,
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, how the hell did you let me record that Warrior song? You know, like I listen to that shit now, man, and I'm like, fuck, man. You know,
Yo,
like
let me tell you something.
I think it's a good song. I lost you. There you go. I think it's a good song, but when I listen to it now, I'm like, damn. I wrote that content. You know, like
So let me tell you what happens. Okay. So not just with artists, but I mean all kinds of artists. You'll see movie actors. There's a lot of movie actors that can't even watch their own films. I'm talking about like amazing actors that me and you would be like, that was a phenomenal performance. Everybody would say that was a phenomenal performance, but the actor himself or herself can't even stand looking at themselves because they think it's terrible. They see all the mistakes that they made that we're not even seeing it, you know?
right.
So like, it's interesting because this is a phenomenon that exists no matter what. So what I do is I say to every client, I want you to be the best you can be at this moment in time. You know,
Right.
can't put 10,000 hours of mastery into you in one studio session, but I could definitely make you the best you are right now, and maybe a little bit better. You know, I can push you to the next. It's like when you go to the gym. If you could do 20 reps, I'm gonna get you to 30. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
I can't get you to 200 because you're gonna die right there on the gym floor. You won't even be able to make it. But I get you to. I'm gonna make, my job is to get you past where you're already at as much as you can, you know, and be as open as you can. And no matter what, you're always gonna find these flaws later on down the line. In some records, maybe more than others. But for the moment that you did the song, you were happy, and that was my job, is to make you happy with who you were at that moment in time and what you could do at that moment in time, you know. So I always ask clients, like, you know, send me if it's a new client, send me a catalog of your work prior, so I know if you go in the booth right now, I know, hey, listen, you got to do that over. That's not, you could do much better than that. I already heard your catalog, you know. I've heard
Right.
stuff that's
Right.
better than that. I need to know how far I can push you before I can say, okay, well, I don't think I can get anything more out of you, you know. So that's a thing there. But as far as clients that are like terrible, like that is just like I have to sit there and I'm just gritting my teeth. See, the thing is that almost every client, if I tell them, like, listen, this is not, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Like, this is not what you're doing right now, the delivery, I don't believe it. Right? So 99% of clients respect that. 99%.
Right.
They're like,
Right.
oh, this is a real engineer. Like, he's really going to make sure this record comes out good.
I can attest to that. You know, you
Yeah.
would certainly, you know, if something's not is not on, it's like, no. I can't let you can't do this. I will not record this. You know, like,
Yeah.
I remember you doing that. And on the other hand, I remember you saying, you know, if something was genuine, you're like, you know, those were the fucking most real ad libs I've ever heard. You remember when I did my pop
Yeah.
song? Like,
Yeah.
you're definitely giving that real, you know, like, listen, I can't put that out. I want to attach my name to that. Do it again.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you something, though. I've been an engineer for, like I said, 20 years, 17 years professionally. So you remember how hip hop, you know, anyone who knows me knows that my primary, like I've done pop, I've done K-pop, I've done, you know, I've even done opera, I've done a lot of different things, but my primary client base is hip hop and R&B, right?
Right,
So
right,
hip hop and R&B back in the days, I'd say 15 years ago, like it was more technical. So I could point out and say, hey, listen, you're literally off beat. Like, you know, you gotta get your flow down pat. You know what I mean? We can't do this song. But as time went on, you know, people are trying a lot of different creative things, and you have people that are they're technically off. Like, they're off key and they're off tempo, but they're going for that. They
right.
want to sound like different
It's a
and weird.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, they're turning it, you know, they want that natural. I mean, it's more than just a drag. You're like literally off beat, but like they're going for that. So I had to start like just telling certain artists, and it's very, very few, that I was like, listen, I don't know what you're doing. I have a guy, he's
Right. Just to
this guy's
give you
like,
the
I have a guy who's like literally nuts. And I told him straight up, listen, I tried to, like, you know, give him advice, and he was like, nah, Sage, you don't know what I'm doing. I was like, all right, man, whatever you say, I'm gonna say what I have to say as an engineer. But if
right.
you tell me that I don't know what you're doing, bro, I don't know what you're doing, and I genuinely don't know what you're doing, right? So he just does these songs, and he kind of dictates how he wants things to be done. And it was funny because one day he told me, he was like, yo, I can't wait for everything to blow up because I'm gonna tell everybody, you know, King Sage, you know, producer, you know, executive, whatever. I was like, listen, I don't know what you're doing, so you can't put my name out there and say like, yo, Sage knew everything that I was doing, bro. I don't know what the hell you're doing. So, and he was like, oh, okay, because I put what he was saying to me back on him. Like, listen, I can't represent for your music because I don't even understand. Even if it blows up, I have to have the integrity to go on any blog or any site and say, you know what? I really didn't know what the hell he was doing. I'm not gonna act like I knew what this guy was doing. I didn't know what he was doing.
You're not gonna
You know?
take credit for.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that. Like, I just didn't know what this kid was doing. So what happens is, like, I don't really grit my teeth. I kind of like look at it like, well, maybe this is the weird stuff that somebody's gonna like. You know, I'm about to be 37 in 2 months. Maybe this is what's going on. Like, maybe I'm losing my ability to know, you know, I don't know.
We all have a different, times change, music changes.
Yeah.
That kid might blow up. Hey, let him give you credit for recording him, but you can
Of
still be
course. Yeah.
honest, you can still be like, listen, that's all him. Everything you hear came from him.
Yeah.
I recorded it. I did my part, but I can't steal his, I can't say that this is my idea, just,
Yeah.
integrity. And that's good to have, man. You know, I've been trying to be real good with that, and myself, and I don't know if you ever work, I don't know if you ever heard of or worked with a kid named Keon Torres, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, follow him, I think, on Instagram.
yeah, so Keon, he's been doing his thing, man, and he's the guy who lit a fire under my ass to get my podcast going.
Mm.
You know, he'd been putting out an episode every Thursday,
Oh, wow.
consistently. And we were talking about doing a podcast together years ago, and I just been sleeping on it. And I see Keon doing it every week without fucking fail. And I said, what the fuck is my excuse? You
Mm.
know, what am I doing here? Like, I'm the one who kind of inspired him to start doing a podcast by talking to him about well, let me not say that, because I don't know that I'm the one who inspired him, but me and him were talking about doing a podcast together, right?
Mm.
And it just never happened, but he'd been pumping them out every week reliably. And I said, man, I got to get on my fucking game.
Mm.
And he lit a fire under my ass. And I told him, he was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and I told him, I'm like, listen, I give credit where credit is due, man. You're the one who got me to get on my grind with this,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I saw, I know your grind, I know your hustle, and I see it. And that shit said to me, I enjoy doing this, but my podcasts were like 3 months apart, you know, three
Yeah. Yeah.
months apart per episode, so I've been busting out at least one a week now. I don't have it the way he does, where he does it like weekly on a certain date.
Mm.
I was trying to do that, but I'm too eager. So like, I'll record it. I can't wait till Monday to release it, or till, I fucking want to release it as soon as I'm done recording. So I've been doing it that way. I don't know which method is better, but my point is, I gave the guy credit, like, I 100% attribute my getting active on it again, was definitely to seeing him, um,
Yeah. No, I think that's how it always is. Like, we inspire each other, and that's how Artists Connect. Actually, part of what Artists Connect is supposed to be is doing that. So, like, you're in a category. Let's say you're, like I said, a host. That's a set category in Artists Connect. So now you'll have other people who register as hosts and services as hosts, and if you want to be the number one host in Artists Connect, you have to be doing the most gigs and have the most, clientele, and constantly getting paid for doing gigs, and you'll move up in rank and you'll stay on top. And I foresee, people competing to be in the top 5, in the top 10, you know what I mean, of that category. And it watching other people get work is going to inspire other people to put the fire under their ass to keep working. And that's just
yeah,
going to help the community, for all the buyers and everyone who's interested in getting good quality, creatives. They'll be able to find them, because there's going to be now this friendly, healthy competition where it's like, hey, listen, I'm trying to be the number one person in my field, in my area, on Artist Connect, because Artist Connect is going to be that standard that people are going to look at, like, so it's great. I mean, creatives always inspire other creatives. I think when it
yeah,
comes to releasing things every week, I just say, me personally, I think content is everything. Content is the main thing. If you get like an exciting podcast with somebody on a very important topic, or very, very like right now, if we start talking about the election, you know. And from this, and if you take a snippet of the segment of me talking something crazy about the election, it's gonna get a lot of traffic, you know.
Right.
When you have just great content, great ideas, great topics, and you have exciting, you know, people who have exciting views on the situation and very engaging, I think that beats everything, you know. So I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Content is king, right? That's the saying.
Yeah,
Content is king.
yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I didn't want to get bogged down with the schedule because then it changes my outlook on it. It becomes a drag, you know. Like I like the freedom to just do it when I'm,
Yeah,
But the caveat being, fucking get it done. Whereas
yeah,
before there was a month gap, and that's not acceptable, you
yeah.
know. But I've been busting them out, and I got a backlog. As a matter of fact, I found one we did some years ago. It's a 4-hour talk. Me, you, and some dude on Blab, Media Distortions.
Oh,
Yo, that
yo,
shit is like 4 hours long, man. You know how long
yo,
it's gonna take me to
I
edit
couldn't
that?
find I couldn't find it, but I talked about a lot of deep stuff in that one.
Well, you
And
had asked me about it, and I remembered that you had mentioned it, and I did find it. So if you want it, I can get it to you. It's
download I guess throw it in the Dropbox or something like that because
yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
have for my records that, you know, I spoke about these things 4 years ago. Um,
right.
uh, and I think
Yeah,
I was talking
that
about
was a heavy ass conversations there, man. The media distortions. We were on a long fucking call, man. Like,
yeah,
that was 4 hours. I found
yeah,
quite a few that I wanna edit down and use them because they're good. You know,
yeah,
that one maybe I could break down into multiple parts because it's a 4-hour conversation, bro.
yeah. I
You know,
definitely make it like into segments. There was a lot going on in that. A lot.
yeah. Actually, that idea just came to me. You know why? I'll break that down like into three or four parts. Media distortion, and yeah. I found quite a few of those blabs. There was a girl who you were connected to named Dina. I think that I don't know if that was her real name or that was a fake name or whatever, but she used to follow your work a lot, and I found one with her.
Mm.
And me and her had a pretty big conversation on religion.
Oh yeah,
So it's pretty cool.
Dina.
Yeah,
Did she change her name on Facebook? Was it once a different name?
I think it was Dina, but I don't know if that was her real name. But I think that's what she used to have.
Mm.
Um, she looked white. Could have been any variation of uh.
I think I know who you're talking about. I think I know who you're talking about.
I can send you that one too. You could check it out. But she used to follow your work and is one of the few people that from you connected to me.
Yeah,
You know. Yeah, but she was a big fan of your stuff. I remember she was
yeah.
almost.
Talking about, yeah. Um, you know, the religious stuff, like I was heavy in that stuff. I went more into the spiritual side of things, because I noticed that people are it's not, you know, even just trying to clarify certain things and say, hey, listen, you know, there's evidence to the contrary of such and such, you know. I noticed that, and I didn't want people to change who they were. I just wanted them to be a more accurate version of whatever they wanted to be, you know. So if they were a Muslim, I wanted them to be a more accurate version of what I felt a Muslim was, based on the history that we're never really told, you know, that are not really told to us as Muslims when we grow up. You know, I think there's like a thing that happens to every community where a lot of cultural things get, you know, injected into our spiritual traditions that are not really part of the original spiritual tradition. And all I was trying to do was just clarify everybody's situation, and that was my forte. And I started to realize, like, even doing that, people were very apprehensive, and I just started to see so much of the competition, and the love for the competition between my tradition is more accurate than yours, or my tradition
Right.
is yours, and it defeated the purpose of all the principles that they stand for. So I was
Even
like,
even
I'm gonna,
within, I imagine, even within. So you might be Muslim talking to a Muslim, but you're going to say something that isn't in line with what they believe,
Yeah,
historically, you might have some accurate information that's and no, you're I don't know what the word would be. I can't remember. Not you're revisionist. You're
yeah,
changing the truth. You're changing the meaning that was in, and they'll that creates conflict within the religious groups itself.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, no, that's not what the prophet meant. Peace be upon him. Yeah, that is what he meant. No, that's not what he meant. And you just have this,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know,
So what I started to do was I started to realize, like, I knew that the principles were more important, but I was like, you know what? I tried to spend a little bit time, like kind of like a bridge, like, hey, listen, I want you guys to realize that these are the most important things. And the way to do that was to say, hey, listen, maybe we need to get to the deeper understanding of our traditions, and to clarify those things and then get to those principles, because I felt like people needed that bridge to get there. You can't just tell somebody, hey, understand something without giving them some kind of step-by-step way of understanding why you need to understand something. But then I realized, like, even that, there's people that are so stuck in their in the idea of competing traditions. Like, it's like a sport. It's like Yankees versus Mets or whatever. uh it's just a weird competition thing, and it's like it's happening even at a subconscious level, where people can't put the importance of the principles above everything else, which is really the meat and potatoes of it all. Without the principles, you don't have anything. um it's like an empty house, so, or a house with no foundation. um so I just gave up on that, because people, I mean, I didn't give up on it. I kind of dabbled here and there. I put my foot back in the pool. I put my toe in the pool and try to see who I can, like, get to, open their eyes. But uh it's just really, it's just a mess out there. Just like the Republican Democrat thing, it's just a complete shit show. It's all messed
yeah.
up. But they're playing it like teams. I made a video, I don't know if you saw it, called the misunderstanding between the left right dichotomy. I mean, the dichotomy, I forgot now what I called it. Yeah, the misunderstanding of the left right dichotomy. I don't know if you saw that.
It kind of rings a bell, you know. It does ring a bell. I don't quite remember the content. I have watched so many videos, but I do recall that.
So basically, what I was talking about was, you know, what I noticed is that, the idea of being liberal, the idea of being conservative, um, these are all ways of looking at something, right? So let's say me and you approach a situation, right? We see a homeless person, and I look at the homeless guy, and he's asking for money, and you say, hey, man, let's give him some money, give him like $20 or something, right? And you just believe whatever he says off the cuff, right? Because you see that he's disheveled, he's messed up, all these different things. And I look at you and I'm like, no, that's gonna actually enable him to continue to be worse. He's never gonna fix himself if you just always, he always can rely on someone to give him something, right? What you're seeing right there in that little encounter is a conservative versus a typical conservative and a typical liberal approach, right? So the conservative is like, no, I care about you, and me caring about you is not enabling you to continue being the way you are. You know, the liberal approach is no, but if you gotta give him love, you gotta give him support, you gotta give him sympathy. Otherwise, he's gonna get even worse. So who's right and who's wrong? Every situation is different. We don't know when to do what. It's very hard. We have to first work together to see whether or not this situation requires more of a conservative approach or it requires more of a liberal approach. Every situation is different. And because the context changes and situations change, you can't really say I'm Republican, so Republicans are right. I am a Democrat, Democrats are right. That's the dumbest, stupidest thing that I'm watching happen all over the country with people of all ages, adults, people that I would normally look up to and say, wow, this guy's so smart. And then you see them do something as ridiculous as, turn these things into like teams. And, call people lefties or righties, and like it's just such ridiculousness and such stupidity to approach two ways of thinking that are both legitimate and both necessary, and you have to be nuanced in every situation and find out what's the situation. Even on a micro level in families, right? Traditionally, the father is more conservative and the mother is more liberal, right? And when you raise children, it's important to have both understandings. If the child is only exposed to a very conservative very strict conservative side, they're going to be imbalanced. There's a risk that they're not going to have empathy when they grow up, because they didn't have it when they were younger. And if you only get the motherly, loving, give him whatever he wants, you're going to make a brat that just feels like they deserve everything, and they don't have, it's another imbalance. So you have to create balance. And just like you need balance in the home, you need balance in a society, and a balance in a community, a balance in a nation. And the fact that we keep doing this team sport politics bullshit is just so unbelievably stupid and unbelievably, I expect it from kids. You expect these things from kids. You don't expect them from adults. Yes, adults argue, yes, but to be a grown man, like 50 something years old, and spend
People have gotten divorced over it.
Yeah,
It's
you spend your days
crazy.
calling people snowflakes and vice versa, calling every Republican a racist. Like this is so stupid. Can you imagine? Like that's crazy. If I grew up in that world and my parents talk like that about, that's it's like when racism, like the blacks do this or whatever, or look, these guys, the Spics do this, or the Puerto Ricans do that or whatever. Look at the Muslims, the ragheads, you know what I mean? They do this. It's the same nonsense. It's just so stupid. It's unbelievably stupid because everyone's looking to have their lives to be better, right? We want a better nation, a stronger nation, make America great again. You're not going to make shit great if you keep doing this team sport politics thing. There's no way. The science does not add up. You will lose, guaranteed, if you don't come together as a people and understand that if you're conservative, you need some liberal friends. If you're liberal, you need conservative friends, because you don't want to get to any extreme. If you're on the right slightly, you don't want to go too far right. So you need your liberal friends. Hey, bro, this is a little too much. And you're like, oh, okay, I got it. You're right. I didn't see. I was going a little bit too much on that side. And then as a liberal, you need a conservative friend. Like, hey, listen, you need to get off your ass and stop complaining, and nobody's going to do shit for you. You know what I mean? You need those energies. The energies at the end of the day. It's like a yin and yang energy.
Well, that shit is sorely missing in this country. The division is. I mean, sometimes, man, because I have a very wide array of contacts on all my
Yeah.
social media and stuff. So sometimes I feel like my head's gonna explode because I'll see the same article, right? So let's say AOC talks about the Green New Deal. So the first post I'll see is AOC cares about the government. She's changing everything. Then the same article is shared by another person that says AOC and the snowflakes are destroying the coal business. So like two completely, like the actual exact same link shared with two completely opposing views. And it's all the fucking time. And sometimes I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like it drives me crazy because it's like, listen, we can reason. And I've been told, from people on both sides that, they think I'm supporting the other side by trying to be reasonable. So like a liberal will say, Angel, maybe you need to look at your racist views because you're still friends with these white supremacists. And then a white supremacist, or well, the ones they're calling a white supremacist, will say, Angel, how did you ever wear the uniform if you hate America so much and you hate the police? Like I'm getting on both ends,
Yep.
because it's not, and I've been told that I play both sides, that I try to play both sides. It's not that I'm playing both sides. It's just that let's use police brutality sometimes, right? Let's use that one as an example. Sometimes those cops are tripping.
Yep.
Sometimes they're doing bad shit. And sometimes a guy is committing a fucking crime.
Exactly.
let's be honest here.
Yeah.
There's times where the guy's innocent and he's being fucked with by a dirty ass cop who should not be a cop, and then
Yep.
there's times where he's got a gun and he's trying to kill someone. And so the fact that I can distinguish those two things, I don't think it makes me a bad fucking guy. It's just
Yep.
I'm objective,
Yep.
and there's difficulties sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes I run into some of them where I have a problem because it comes down to facts. We may not have all the facts, or what you and I see may be perceived different because of our lenses, you know,
Yep.
our way of looking at things. I might see something that I say, oh, that guy shouldn't have done that. And they'll say, well, what was you supposed to do? So it's very difficult to be objective. And I've been accused pretty hard sometimes
Let
by
me
people.
let me give you a quote from my book that
Mm,
that covers exactly what you're talking about. There's a chapter in my book called Ready for War, right? And it's a play on words because the reason why it's called, hello? Yeah.
yo,
The reason why it's called Ready for War is because it teaches you how to fight an intellectual war, not a physical war, and how
mm,
to understand the things that you're gonna come across when you're engaged with people intellectually. And in the chapter called Ready for War, it talks about all these different things that you need to keep in mind when you're engaging someone. And one of the things that it says, if you wonder how to know if you're impartial in talks between one group and another, know that the one who is impartial is considered a traitor to a third in both groups, is
mm,
confused by another third in both groups, and is considered honest among the last third in both groups. So the minority will always understand where you're coming from in both sides. You know what I
right.
mean? But there's going to be a portion of both sides that are going to consider you a traitor to both their sides, and that's what you're experiencing, So you have to know that this is what's going to happen, because you're always going to get a segment of the population that there's going to be a segment of Democrats that are going to look at anyone who doesn't align with their stuff as you're a traitor. That's it, plain and simple. Even if you're Facebook friends with this other guy, you might not even be a real friend with this guy. You might be just Facebook friends with this person and engage them just to have a healthy debates. And they're looking at it like, oh, you're friends with this guy? You're a
Yeah.
racist.
Yeah,
You know?
you're low key supporting their views and stuff. I've been told
Yeah,
that by people. I've had
yeah,
people message me on the side and say, "Hey, man, I want to holler at you, Rod." And I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "Yo, what's up with that?"
yeah.
And people have, like not attacking me, just straight up asked me, and
Bro,
and
I made a video just explaining why Trump won, why I think Trump won the election. This is back in 2016. All I ever said was, this is why I think he won. I didn't say I endorsed him or I
right,
voted for him or I'm pro-Trump. I didn't say none of that. I said, hey, guys, I have an idea. I didn't see anybody mention this factor, but I think this is a big factor in why he won. So I made that video, and dudes were deleting me like left and right. And
mm,
I was like, this was not a pro-Trump video, you idiot. This was to explain to you what happened. If anything, take this advice, and during the next election, maybe, things will be different.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the problem, man. That you can't make it. Even you making a statement like that is gonna be perceived as you're supporting him. You're saying this is why he won. Woo! That's not what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying.
You know, it's crazy, man. The
And you know what it was? Let me tell you what it was, because it still reigns true today. This is what I said. And tell me what you think about this.
mm,
I was like, people don't understand how much the American public hate the government. They don't understand how much resentment we have towards the government, and how much distrust is in the American public for the government and for politicians in general. So, because of this, people don't understand that there's a large segment of the population that voted for Trump because he represents that. He represents, and when people say, "Oh, did you hear what he said today? He said this." Now nobody should ever vote for him. Where's his supporters coming from? Why do they support him? They actually support him more when he does that crazy shit. You know why? Because that's another moment where they're like, you see, he's still not connected to the government. They can't control him, so he's still a viable candidate. they don't care about what he's saying. All they care about is that he can't be controlled, that he doesn't talk like a politician, because they hate the government so much.
What they call the
Bro,
swamp.
bro,
Swamp. Drain the swamp.
people hate the government so much that people believe the earth is flat, because NASA is technically, they look at it like it's the government. They consider big science part of the government, part of this government conspiracy. Government conspiracies went from wars like Vietnam and the Gulf of Tonkin incident and all that stuff. It went from that, and it just spread out to the point where everything's like, almost everything's a conspiracy. You know what I mean? So people are not looking at the signs, bro. Like, you're seeing grown men saying that, you know, all these things are conspiracies, and you just sitting there saying, ha, dudes are crazy. Yeah, but what made them like this? You know? And how do we fix this situation? How do we resolve this? And we're not trying to approach it. The Democrats are definitely not approaching it. They're not doing, every Democratic leader looks like it's the same spiel over and over again. And
yeah, well, when we tried to speak up on who we wanted, right? A large segment. So I registered as Democrat so I can vote in primaries, right? I couldn't vote in the New York primaries if I was independent. My vote didn't matter then. So I registered as a Democrat to make sure that I can get into primaries. But you know, and I'm gonna support Biden. But Biden, how long has he been in? 47 years in politics? He's a career politician. He's beholden to his donors, and I don't expect anything to change.
Yeah.
For good, right? I keep reaching out to him on Twitter. I'm like, hey, come on the podcast. Let's talk. Talk to an average, regular American person who wanted Bernie, right? And convince me that you're for real, because I don't believe it. You know, I don't believe it at all. So, you know, I'm voting for him because I feel like that pendulum needs to keep swinging. You know, I feel like it's swinging, you know. And honestly, man, I don't fucking know, man. People throw stats at me, they throw things at me, and
there's no way to know.
I don't fucking know what the truth is, you know? Like they say, well, Trump's done the most for black people and he's done the most. You know what, man? It might be true, but I don't fucking know. I have no the problem with that guy is he talks so much shit that he doesn't even give you an, like, let's say when he got sick now, right? When he got sick, I said, you know, I hope he recovers. We can't have an American president dying. You know, I want him to recover, get well, finish his term, right? And then 2 days later, after he got sick, he puts up a tweet saying, don't let COVID dominate your life. Don't be weak. And I'm like, come on, man. Even on something like this, you got to be an asshole. You know, like, he makes it so difficult to support or defend him, even if he does something right. You know, like, he's released some people from prison who I thought were very fair of him. You know, that he pardoned, and I gave him credit for that because I thought those were right things to do. Now, he may have done other right things. I don't know, but he makes it impossible for me to want to know or for me to see, because he does so much other stupid shit that you can't even see anything good because it's covered up in the, you know, like the avalanche of dirt that he fucking creates. So maybe there's those, you know, if he would just shut the fuck up, maybe we could see if he's actually done anything. But I never get to see it. Now, if Daniel Erskine from my fucking wall tells me Trump did this, fuck you, man. You're supporting the guy by default. I can't believe you. I need to see real shit. But Trump never gives you the opportunity to see it because he doesn't shut the fuck up. He's always talking shit. He creates this cloud. You can't see it. So by default, I got to say, you know what? I'm going to go with Biden. You know, what choice do I have in this scenario, you know?
You know, I believe in cause and effect. And we as a country, but not we like me and you, but, you know, it's still collectively we, you know, the media sensationalized all this behavior. And then we were just like, okay, well, it's not presidential. Like, you could do all this shit, but as long as you're not the president, that's fine. But then when you do it as a president, you know, the person themselves, they don't think about it like that. They just think like, well, I thought you guys loved this. And then people are voting for me, so they must love it. You know what I mean? So we create our own monsters, you know.
True that. True that.
And then we don't want to face it. We don't want to admit our faults, you know. I've never seen any you know, I don't see people saying that. I don't see people saying, yo, we created this, we did this, you know what I mean? Shit just doesn't spontaneously appear out of nowhere. Something happens, you know. Just like with, you know, people, it's like, oh, why are black people protesting or whatever? You think they just wake up and they just want to start protesting for no reason? Like, who that this is not the way you figure things out. The way you figure things out is you understand why things happen. What's causing somebody to react a certain way, or people, or community, or an individual, whatever it is. And that's all I do. I'm not even, you know, I don't even talk about, how often do you see on my wall anything about politics? I can't, man. It's I can't get into this. It's like too much. And it's like, why speak about, like, you know, Democrat or Republican when we can't address the basic phenomenon of what is conservative and liberal and why both are important. If you can't understand that, then you're just, you've turned a very important, nuanced, balanced way of looking at things by having a conservative and a liberal both approach a situation and see contextually, does this require more of a conservative approach or does it require more of a liberal approach? Every situation is different. And this is the truth about everything. And if you can't have respect for both schools of thought and when to use them and when not, and the process of it, then you just don't deserve to be talking about politics at all. You're just making it worse for everyone because you're creating this team mentality bullshit and just wasting everyone's time. And it becomes one giant shit show and nobody knows what the hell to do. And that's what I'm seeing. And I, like I said, I expect this from children. I did not expect this from adults, but I think media is so powerful, man, that it just permeates the mind. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Well, you see them, how they talk now? You know, I saw Cuomo yesterday, and he says, here's the president. This is bullshit. Since when is it cool for a journalist to get up there? I had watched this documentary on Netflix about, I believe it was the news and how it went from actual reporting of facts to commentating. So there was a period when the news was just the news being presented as facts. And now you have people who provide commentary and opinion. Now you got a guy like Cuomo, and he's on here cursing about the president in the media. Since when is that okay to curse?
That's the thing. Like,
like
they say you become what you hate, you know? If you engage and you let them make you like them, then you lost. That's the moment you lost, because now you're in their world and you're playing according to their rules. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna talk like you too. You know, why are you compromising your own integrity? And I understand that people are emotional and you get angry and all that, but
this is you're in a professional position.
Exactly.
Like, this is a blog,
Exactly.
right? This is a podcast. We're talking casually. Well, you know, but even here in this platform, when I talk to a candidate for New York City Council or whatever, I speak professionally. If I'm talking on a, you know, like on a bigger platform that is a more of a professional thing, I speak professionally. This guy's on CNN and he's saying that's bullshit. Fuck, you know, it's like, come on, man. You're supposed to be a you're supposed to be a professional, you know. And this is not, I'm not bashing his views. I'm bashing the fact that he's being unprofessional. And
That's the thing.
you know,
bro, it's a
it
shit
doesn't
show.
make sense. Yeah, well, that's the exact word. It's all a shit show right now, man. And it will only get worse before it gets better, right?
It's one of those things that you learn the hard way. But in this situation, I'm afraid of what the hard way is because it's a national situation. So the hard way is not going to be an individual, you know, or these guys are going to figure it out. No, we're all going to get hit. So I don't know what that's translating to. I feel like it's a mitosis, you know, where like there's a split occurring, and I don't know how this is going to play out because it's all an intellectual situation. So it's kind of like I just don't know. I can't fathom all the different possibilities of how this is going to play out, but it's not going to be good because, you know, kids that refuse to eat their medicine, they're going to get sick. So that's just what it is. bro.
Yeah, man. We digress. Yeah, we digress, man.
Bro, it's
Let's.
so crazy, man.
It's freaking nuts, man. Dude, we are in an hour and 20 minutes.
I know.
Um, let's um let's close it out on a more positive note. You know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
tell everybody how they can find you, what where they can get the app, of course, and we'll call it, man. It's been good talking
Yeah,
to you, brother. It's been a while,
yeah.
man. It's
We'll
dope
talk
that
again.
we could have a conversation. It's almost like we used to do back when I'd be recording, sitting on the couch, but we're
Yeah,
doing it, virtually now. But it's dope,
exactly.
man. I love this shit, man. I love it.
So I'll just let everybody know. Artist Connect is a booking application for creative freelancers. So if you're a photographer, a videographer, any kind of freelancer that does anything creative, singer, songwriter, musician of any kind, rapper, graphic designer, audio engineer, to handle all your bookings. Because obviously, me as an audio engineer, I made it with to accommodate us as well. Do all your payments through Artist Connect, and I'll tell you why. To summarize, go to artistconnectapp.com, download it. It's a free app, free to register. Set up your prices, accept your payments through Artist Connect, and you'll get new clients that you would have never got before. Right now, you're taking payments through Cash App or Venmo or other payment platforms. They don't do anything else for you. Yes, they'll give you the money electronically. That's great. But they don't promote you in search results in a community of people who are looking for someone like you to hire. You know what I mean? So why
Wow.
accept payments through another platform that won't get you new clients when you can accept payments through Artist Connect, which will have your written agreements. You'll get automatic insurance for your agreements. You can hold your deposits, organize all your receipts, your work history, and get promoted literally every time you get paid. You get move up in rank in your category. So I made it so that it's extremely beneficial for people like us, creative freelancers. So yeah, artistconnectapp.com, artistconnectapp.com. Head to the website right there on the front. As soon as it loads, you'll see Play Store and App Store. You can download for Android or iPhone. Takes 5 minutes to register, set up, and good luck. I give you the tools for you to take your talent and make money off of it to the point where you can be hopefully financially independent and be able to do just your craft. That would be amazing, and at best, and at worst, you have way more supplemental income than you would have had in this pandemic, in these weird crazy times.
Yeah, multiple streams of income.
That's how it's gonna be. Yep. All right, brother, it was good talking. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. And good luck on the app, man. Good luck on that. I'm hoping you become that next big player in that space, Be like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that guy. Yeah, I do.
Yep, let's see how it plays out. And if anybody wants they want to get a book that is, talks about like ideas like the law of attraction, deep spirituality and philosophy, The Cradle of Prophecy is on Amazon now. $13. I guarantee it's going to be a good read for you. You're going to find it enlightening, inspiring, and yeah, that's it.
That's what's up, man. Thanks for coming on the show, brother. I appreciate it. I got a couple episodes of you coming up because I got one already up. I'm gonna have you on this, and I got that long ass 4 hour the one with
Hardcore,
the media distortion.
for the hardcore fans.
Yeah, yeah. That's what's up, bro. It's good talking to you, man. I'll
All right,
holler at you.
peace.
Peace, brother.
You are listening to the NYC Talking podcast. www.nyctalking.com. Please like NYC Talking on Facebook. Please follow Angel R Talk on Twitter and Instagram. We are NYC Talking, the realest lifestyle blog ever. Thanks for listening.